Hey there, Bill DeYoung here. It's another episode of the Catalyst Sessions. You've been watching me on this program for a while, playing host. Today, I get to speak with an actual host, the host with the most. The hostess with the mostest. Please say hello to Cyndi Edwards of WFLA Television. Hey.
Hey, Bill. I love being on this side of the equation. I love the fact that I don't have to ask you a whole bunch of questions, although I do love doing that.
I got a whole bunch of embarrassing questions lined up for you here.
Bring it.
If you don't know, I'm sure you do, but if you happen to not, Cyndi is the host for 14 years now?
I can't believe it myself. Yeah, 14 years on
daytime, which airs weekdays at 10 a.m. on WFLA
and across the country.
Across the country. Can you explain that to me? I
I
mean,
know.
it's a local show.
It is, but we're
but
syndicated.
It's not. And I know, but it's syndicated in something like 80 markets or something?
Or more at this point, yes. Sometimes you have to find us, but we're out there.
What does that mean? You throw a dartboard at the cable station?
Yeah, you may have to go to a digital station, but we do get emails from LA and Vegas and all over the country. And we go, oh my gosh, I guess, yeah, they see us there too. We forget that sometimes.
People are watching the Gasparilla Pirates and the Girl Scout cookie people.
They sure are, yeah.
In LA and stuff.
And New York. I love that.
I never understood that because during the days, again, when I was working for the Mojave Theater or bringing artists over from St. Petersburg Opera Company, and I've actually been on camera a couple times, somebody would say, well, we're syndicated all over the country. And I go, it's great, but it's a Tampa show.
And we're proud of that too. We're so glad that we can bring Tampa to the rest of the country. It used to be that we didn't talk too much about being in Tampa because we were nationally syndicated. And then we said, you know what, we are a destination. We should be really proud of where we are. And now we love throwing out that we're in Tampa.
How, I guess off the top of my head, how has it changed for you in 14 years? We're going to talk about your career in broadcasting, but as far as daytime, what was it like 14 years ago compared to the way it is now?
Well, when I started 14 years ago, we were live. That was one thing. And we were local. And then when we became syndicated, we started to tape the show in advance. And that way they could package it all together and get it out to all our affiliates. So that's why we stopped being live. So that's a big change. And we still have sold content on our show. We always have. But it's funny, you hear people talking about TV going away, but it's still going strong. We still have a lot of people that want to advertise on our show, which is fantastic for us. But of course, we also have the online presence as well.
I think familiarity and longevity are factors in that.
I think so.
It's the old cliche about morning TV, but people are used to waking up with you with their coffee. Or
I hope so. I hope.
Yeah. But in the early days, Cyndi, did you have a co-host? Was it just you?
It was me for a few months, and then I had Dave Nemeth as my co-host, and he was with me for about 5 years, maybe 5 or 6 years. And then I had Jamie Jacobs, and he was with me for just under a year, I think. And then I had Lindsay McDonald for a little while they were looking for another co-host. And are you leaving me?
No, I'm. The folks at home can't see me. I was adjusting.
Oh, I see. I thought, wow, what a story! It's so boring. Bill's just going to leave in the middle of it. And then I got
these people gone on to bigger and better things, or
they've all. Well, Dave is working in Utah. And he went and did a morning show out there. Jamie moved to California with his family, and he's been doing different jobs. Lindsay is doing, she was always in real estate with her mom, and I believe she and her mom are still doing that. Jerry Penacoli, who I had with me for almost 7 years. I mean, he and I are still great friends, and he's still in the area, so we still keep in touch. And he's got a little one at home, so he's very busy with that.
Yeah, Jerry's a great guy.
That's nice. My latest sidekick is Danny New, and he came from Massachusetts. He is new.
He started. Was it just before COVID time, or what was the deal there?
Yes, yeah. He was with me a shorter period of time in studio than we have been together outside of the studio. But Danny's funny. He does stand-up. He does open mic nights.
Wow.
He's really super talented, and he's fun to work with.
Well, let me ask you this: what's the procedure like? Well, I guess during the period between Jerry and Danny, we're getting a new guy. Did they put them in a room with? Obviously, they come with a clip reel or whatever it is, and they audition. But
Yeah,
did they sit them
everybody's
in a room with you and say, "Let's look at the chemistry, guys"?
pretty much. Yeah, they send in their tapes, and then we bring in a different amount of people, and we sit down together, and we do sort of like a mock-up show together, a couple of segments, just to see how it flows, and then they take that and they show it to different people in the building, upper management, and then a decision is made, and that's how it works.
I don't know if I should say, but I mean, do you have a say in it too?
I do.
You know,
I do.
I like this guy, Danny New. He's
you know, it's funny.
shoes.
I usually I like everybody that comes in and auditions with me. I think, yeah, I could work with them. I could work with them. I could work with them. So it's usually it has to come from somebody else who can take another outsider's opinion and go, okay, yeah, this is really working. They might see something that I'm not seeing. So I trust their judgment, and I'm really happy with what I got. I've formed a really strong bond already with Danny, even though he's only 25 years old. He's a phenom, but he's an old soul.
Well, give him time, you know, give him time in the business. I wanted to ask you how it's going now. I mean, you literally are doing shows. Have you been in the studio since March? Are you doing everything from home now?
We left, I think, March 18th. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to leave my makeup here because it won't be that long that we're off. I'm going to leave all my clothing at work because we'll be back soon. And that's the case. I've been working. My dining room is now Studio A for me. So, and that's where I do the show.
Your producer's in one room somewhere.
Yep. I've got my executive producer in my left ear. She's in St. Pete. I've got Danny and myself in my right ear. He's in South Tampa, and we all come together as one and make it work. But you know what? Working this way, when you're interviewing celebrities from their home, it's a whole different vibe. They are more comfortable, and I think a lot more open when they're in their own environment rather than put them in a sterile studio where they have to do back-to-back satellites. You feel this camaraderie because you feel like we're all in this together. And right away, it tears some walls down. It's just interesting that you end up getting, I think, almost better interviews when you interview celebrities in their homes.
You know, I've done a few of those press junkets where you go to New York and you move from room to room. And
yeah, me too.
You just feel like part of an assembly line.
Yeah, like cattle.
And I mean, when those guys, whoever it's Billy Bob Thornton or whoever you're talking to, because I saw you do a thing with him. I just watched your Garth Brooks thing yesterday.
Oh yeah,
which is fun when you went out there, but to the baseball field. But I wonder are they sitting at home doing back-to-back Zoom interviews with TV people?
I think so. Yeah, we just did an interview with Christian Slater the other day for that whole Dirty John Betty Broderick story that's airing on USA Network. Yes, I am. And we talked to him from his house in Florida.
Wow.
And Amanda Peet out of LA.
Yeah.
So it was great.
There was an old Betty Broderick TV movie.
Yes, Meredith Baxter Burney. I didn't see that one.
I did. And I was telling my wife about it, it's because we've been watching this thing, and I'm a big fan of Amanda Peet's anyway.
She's so great in this.
Yeah, it's just weird and creepy at the same time.
And she was so comfortable talking to us from her porch that she swore, like in the middle of the interview, and she didn't even realize she did it. We had to beep it out, but it was kind of funny.
Well, okay, here's a brilliant segue. I wanted to ask you, I do want to talk about your history in broadcasting because of the Canadian thing. I sent you an email about my brother-in-law.
Henry Champ.
Did you have some idea who
I know that. Yes, I know that name.
Everybody who's Canadian I've ever met says, oh, I remember Henry Champ. Like the country's that big.
Everybody knows everybody. You know that.
Henry passed away a few years ago. He was 6'5", big guy, and he looked just like you think of Steve Croft from 6.
Yes, he had such a presence.
Yeah, big kind of overcoat, and but
I think he was in the right field. I think
funny guy. Yeah, and I know that after a stint with NBC, he went back and did a lot more work for CBC out of Washington.
Yeah.
Before I go there, here's the way my mind works. Let's say I want to ask you about a typical day. But let's say a typical day when you're in the studio. I mean, I've been over there, and I did meet Danny, the one that was in there with the opera, and before there was Jerry for a couple of times. You just sort of show up, and you're all made up and dressed up, and hey, let's go. What's your day like? How you tape it? What, 11 in the morning?
Okay,
No.
this is how the typical day goes.
How's it go?
When we're in studio.
Yeah.
I get up 2 hours earlier every day to get out of this place before traffic gets crazy.
You're in Hillsborough County.
I'm in, Hillsborough County. And it's in the past 10 years, the commute has gone, I mean, insane.
Yeah.
I think at least another 100,000 people on the road. So anyway, I get up earlier. I get to the studio by about 20 after 7. I have to be there for an 8 a.m. meeting just to go over what's happening in the day's show.
Right.
And then after we have that, while we're having that meeting, I'm usually either writing still a little bit, adding stuff to the script. It's slightly scripted. And then around 8:30, I usually go into the green room where I keep all my dresses.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wash my hair, and we sometimes have hair people that come. Usually a hair person comes. I do my makeup in about 10 minutes. It's a time for Danny and I to catch up, because he'll come in and put his makeup on and get dressed. And then we go back into the office and do anything last minute changes, find out about that. And then we usually try to start taping around 10 a.m. Even though we're not live, we do try to keep it in that hour, but then we end up taping other things after, and sometimes our taping schedule can go into like 1 o'clock on
You don't do it in
days.
sequence either, which I found really interesting.
Which makes it convenient for people who have to come in at certain times, especially for clients. If they say we can only make it at this time, then we can usually accommodate that. And then it all gets magically put together by our director, Chip Hansen, who takes all the elements and puts it into a beautiful box and puts a lovely bow on it, and then sends it out to our affiliates. And then in the afternoon, after the show, I end up looking into the next day's show, doing whatever research I have to do, and possibly going out on a shoot. So every day varies.
That's like the life of a journalist. I was a print journalist for 35 years. And I used to say all the time, well, one of the things I like best about this is that no 2 days are exactly the same. Unlike right now, where every day is pretty much exactly the same. You didn't know what was going to be facing you when you went in. I mean, what you do, you have some idea what the next show's going to be.
Yeah.
But something that's more news oriented, or, I was a feature writer, I've been an arts writer my whole life. You never knew who was going to call, and where. I didn't know I'd be out on the Pirates ball field with Garth Brooks this afternoon.
Isn't that the best though? The not knowing, and then every day is a mystery.
And some days are really cool.
Yeah.
Some days kind of suck, but
some days are really stressful.
Where are you from in Canada originally?
I was born in Newfoundland. Yeah, but I didn't live there very long. I grew up in New Brunswick, which is we share a border with Maine, for anybody who's wondering where New Brunswick is. It's a rural province in Canada.
I recently did a vintage St. Pete story about the HMS Bounty when it was here. I don't know, it might be before your time. The old MGM ship from the Marlon Brando movie was a tourist attraction here at the old St. Petersburg Pier. And there's a reason I'm telling you this story, is that the captain was a man named Hugh Boyd, who's still alive. He came down. He was from Halifax, I think, but his whole family's in Newfoundland. And,
oh, wow.
And they all talk. I couldn't do the accent if you put a gun to my head, but it's just so funny.
Pretty strong accent.
Yeah.
I went to university in Halifax.
Well, why broadcast? Where did that come from?
Yeah, funny. I didn't even know as a kid. I didn't even know in high school that that's what I was going to do. Although I did the high school report on the radio. Every few weeks I'd go in and do that. But I had no plans to get into broadcasting at all. I went off to university, didn't know what I wanted to do, changed my major 4 times.
From what to what to what to what?
I was anthropology, astronomy, sociology. And then English.
Pretty easy on English, yeah.
And then I went back and took broadcasting after that. And once I got into that, I went, light bulb, there it is. I've always been extremely curious. And I've always been more of a listener than a talker. And I grew up with watching the news every single day with my parents, and I always had a newspaper in front of me. So it was happening. I didn't even realize it was happening, but it was in me. And thank goodness I found out that it was in there, because I can't imagine not doing this.
You could be, you know, have that sociology degree, and what the hell, you know.
Or anthropology. I was going to go discover lost tribes, and then I was going to be a fashion designer. I mean, I was all over the place.
Now you interview lost tribes.
That's right. That's right.
So,
I love interviewing people.
Did you pursue, you know, print journalism first, or was it always broadcasting? Like, I know you started in radio.
Yeah, that's where I started.
Yeah.
And it was with CBC Radio, and I was doing long form pieces for Northern Service, which meant I was actually doing almost like mini documentaries for the Northwest Territories, so the high north in Canada. And
cold.
Yeah, but I never actually went up there. So that was interesting. I'd be on Parliament Hill. So I was kind of a little bit of a political reporter and a little bit of a lifestyle reporter. And I was putting out resumes everywhere, and they were all saying, well, you need some experience on TV if you want to get on television. And I took a video librarian job, and I took an editorial assistant job. And then one day I got this phone call, and a man named Richard Gray, he was the news director. He said, Cyndi, do you know how to edit? I said, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know how, but I said, yes.
That's an old trick.
He said, would you like to be a weekend news anchor and a video journalist during the week? I said, absolutely.
Oh,
and that's how it started.
Sweet.
Yeah. And that was when the gear weighed about 50 pounds.
Yeah. My first job in radio, I did just out of school in Gainesville, Florida. I'm from St. Pete originally, but I went up and I did he was starting an AM soft jazz station. Trying to get me started. This was early 80s actually. And I went in and I talked to him about, I had a little bit of radio experience, not much, you know, lied about it, of course. And he said, well, I mean, I'm talking to some other people. I'll get back to you. And I got home, and not an hour after I got home, he called and said, I need somebody for the afternoon shift today. Can you come back? And that so my career in radio was about 2 years. And then I decided that I have a face for radio, and that I should probably just be a journalist.
You've made that work very well.
Well, you can tell I've been eating well. Let's put it that way. So, is that where you met your husband or did you go to a lot of different jobs? Because I watched that really funny clip of the two of you on TV.
Yes, we were at the smallest television station in Canada, and it was teeny tiny. And we used to have to go out with a broom and clean the dish off if it had too much snow on it. Yeah, that was that small. And I met my husband working in Pembroke, Ontario. And you saw a video. It was pretty funny. And then we both got moved. What's his name? His name is Colin Trethewey.
See, I knew it was Colin, but I was going to mangle the last name. Sorry,
yes, Trethewey. Yeah, I didn't take his last name.
I wonder why. Doesn't roll off the tongue.
That's not uncommon in Canada, though, not to take a last name.
Oh, well, did he stay in broadcasting?
He did for quite a long time, but then when I got the job down here, he ended up leaving broadcasting and started his own PR firm, which he does out of the house.
Oh, that's great. Well, everybody does.
They have a Canadian arm and an American arm, and it's called PR Media Now. And they have clients all around the world, which I think is really, really cool.
Well, I thought was great about it. This was when he joined you on daytime. It was last September or October or something. And I thought, this guy really could do this. He's pretty good, you know.
I know. He was a sportscaster too.
A little bit of Canadian gravitas. Yeah, Canadian sportscaster.
Yeah, he was a sportscaster, and then he became a business specialist on television. So he's got the chops for it.
You do a lot of different kind of stuff, as we've talked about. You do like field reporting, as it were. We're talking about the normal world now, where you go out and talk to people, and plus you do these satellite celebrity things, and whoever comes into the studio, sometimes it's famous people, sometimes it's just regular schmoes like you know me or whatever. but yeah, the obvious question, Cyndi, is what do you like best? You know, I mean, the celebrity stuff's cool, but it's a little regimented. You
Right,
know?
right. And
So,
you, yeah, I kind of love meeting ordinary people that are doing extraordinary things. So
mm,
I think they're the ones that are most inspiring. But, you know, it's always kind of a thrill sometimes when you interview somebody that's famous that you grew up watching.
yeah.
But honestly, for the most part, it's ordinary people that kind of stick with me. And I think, wow, they're cool.
Do you have to find, well, you're talking about maybe healthcare workers and people who work with kids' cancers and things like that.
Mm.
That I find tremendously inspiring too. I wondered if you felt like the best interviews are perhaps the ones where you find common ground with people,
Yeah.
where I feel that way too, or I know what you're talking about. Is that true? You know?
Mm-hmm. And I feel almost like no matter who you talk to, you can find common ground with almost everyone.
Mhm.
We're so much more alike than we are different. I think we have to remember that, because I think a lot of people think we're such a divided nation.
Yeah.
But deep down, we all want the same things for the most part. It's all about love.
Are you still as
Acceptance.
curious as you were back in the day?
Oh yeah. I want to know everything. That's just in me.
See,
I don't know where it comes from.
the thing about a good interviewer, right, like you, is that you can apply that to anybody. You know, whether you're sitting down with you know, Mark Harmon, or
Mm-hmm.
whether it's the head of Girl Scout Troop 91. You know, you
Yeah.
find that thread, and your curiosity will pull you through, and you can find things to talk about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like to believe I'm genuinely interested in what people have to say.
Yeah. Well, that, you know, to my mind, is the mark of a good journalist. You know, because if you just do it, or if you take yourself too seriously, that's another thing. You know, you don't take yourself too seriously. I've seen you and Danny, you know, doing incredibly stupid things.
And
You
we
and
are
Jerry used to do lots of
kooky.
incredibly stupid things, you
Mm-hmm.
know, for the sake of like the entertainment value.
You got to have fun. I mean, as much as seriously as I take my job, I don't take myself seriously. And I really believe, you know, we're not curing cancer. We really have to keep remembering that we're here to entertain people.
Yeah. Well, you know, and I think there's also an element of education and
Definitely.
sharing, you know, community.
Definitely.
You know,
Definitely.
the fact, well, to that end, an obvious question would be, I mean, you get recognized. You go to the mall, people say, oh, do they always know what your name is? Or they say, you're that chick in TV.
I get that. I get the thank you. It's
Yeah.
funny. I think a lot of people expect me to be a lot larger in real life than I am. So they almost recognize the voice before they look down and say, "Oh my gosh, it's you," because
Oh.
I'm 5'2.5", and I think people assume I'm closer to like 6 feet tall, and so they don't expect it to be me when I'm down there.
You loom large in your legend. As
TV does add 20 pounds, and I guess 2 feet. I don't know, but
well, what's next? What's next for daytime? You know, there are no plans for anybody because nobody knows what the hell is going on.
exactly.
But, I mean, is there a contingency plan? Is there something being thought of? Can you keep doing these things from home until, you know, hell freezes over?
Yeah, it seems that way. People are still coming out and saying, we want to get on the show. We want to buy time, or we want to share our story, or we've got something to pitch. There hasn't been a shortage of people that are coming to us saying, put me on. So as far as I can see, daytime will probably continue on the way that it is indefinitely. I don't foresee it changing. And I know we talk about everything's going digital, but there's still people that see television as a very powerful medium, and they're going to keep using it, and good for them.
Oh no! Again, I've not. My own personal thing is with commercial television. It's with the constant barrage. I think as I got older and crabbier and more like my dad,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got I can't do this anymore. But there are some things one has to watch. You know, I've been watching this Betty Broderick story.
Yeah.
Which you've got Christian Slater coming on. Did I hear?
Yeah. Yeah. We just interviewed him the other day from his house, and yeah, I've been watching that too. So
And Amanda
some good
Peet.
television.
Did you talk to Amanda Peet?
We talked to Amanda Peet. She was great.
Yeah.
Both of them were wonderful. And again, that was a bit of a thrill for me because I remember watching them growing up.
Yeah.
And it was so nice to talk to them in their element, in their comfort zones, in their homes. So right away, you tear down those walls and you just feel this more of an intimate connection, which was great.
We were talking about that, I think before we went on here live, though. You said that people, the famous folks that you talk to seem to be more relaxed.
So much more comfortable.
And they're not sitting in like the Omni Hotel super suite with the backdrop.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell they don't have an entourage around them. They might have maybe one person, maybe their spouse trying to help them through this.
The dog walking through the back.
Yeah, it's true. And it's been great. In that aspect, it's been really nice. It's been a nice change.
Last question, because we're close. And
you can ask me anything, Bill.
Well, I told myself I wasn't going to ask this, but I'm going to end it.
Now I'm afraid.
Favorite interview. What's the one you go, that was my big one, man.
I knew you were going to ask that.
Oh, well, see, it always happens.
So I prepared. Because it's very hard for me to say that was my favorite interview because A, I have a terrible memory, and B, I've had so many great interviews. I've interviewed thousands of people over the years. One man that sticks out for me, and I had to write it down because, again, my memory is awful. His name is Nick Santonastasso. See, Santonastasso.
Okay.
He was born with Hanhart syndrome, so it prevented his limbs from fully forming. So he has one arm, no hand, no legs. And this man has not let that slow him down at all. He's a bodybuilder. He was a wrestler in high school. He's a model. He's a motivational speaker. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson looks up to him. I mean, he's just unbelievable. When I met him, I thought, Cyndi, you have nothing to ever complain about.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great story. When was that? How many years ago was that?
It wasn't that long ago. I think it was, well, everything again is a blur. It could have been last year. It could have been 2 years. I think his parents live in Sarasota. Wow. But he moves all over the country. But he was unbelievable. And he has a book. It's called From Victim to Victor. And I highly recommend that to anybody who wants to be inspired.
Very inspiring. You're a pro golfer? I'm leaving with this. I just remembered that.
I wouldn't say pro golfer. I was a
You are a good golfer.
I used to be a competitive golfer when I was younger, and I was competing for my province. So it was like competing for your state. But now my golf days are just about going out and having a nice time and relaxing and enjoying the scenery. And I can still play, but not competitively.
You ever get back up to Canada just to?
My whole family. My whole family's still in Canada. Yeah. So I Skype with my parents. It's breaking my heart right now that I can't see them. Mm-hmm. My sister's up there, my brother's up there, my husband's family is all up there. So we try to get up there at least once a year in the summer, and they usually all come down here in the winter. So hopefully we'll be able to do some traveling so we can get together and actually see them in person. That would be amazing.
Cyndi Edwards, it's been an absolute pleasure. Let me remind everybody the daytime is on WFLA News Channel 8, weekdays at 10 a.m. And this is going to air Monday. Cyndi and I recorded this a little bit early. So I think that's the day the Christian Slater interview airs. And I'm going to be sure to check that out. Absolute pleasure.
I think that aired, so I think it's too late.
Oh,
it's okay. It's all right.
Maybe the clip is online.
Anyway. I think you can find it still. If you go to daytimeonline.tv, you can see all kinds of things that we've done.
Perfect.
Thanks,
Cyndi,
Bill.
thanks so much for being here.
I hope to see you in the flesh again someday.
Yes, we'll be over there one of these days. Yes.
Elbow to elbow.
3D, man. Mask to mask. See you soon, darling.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.